What's going on, Unqualified Sports fans? Welcome back to episode 7 of Unqualified Sports Talk. Today we got a pretty special guest, qualified um, former Florida tight end, Clifford Taylor the fourth. Welcome, Clifford. We're excited to have you on today.
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Pretty good, pretty good. Me and Clifford go way back playing uh, upward basketball growing up. Old, so it's pretty cool to be able to reconnect right now, be able to interview him, get some of his insight being back at the University of Florida in Gainesville. So, Clifford, why don't you just walk us through a little bit? Obviously, you played basketball in high school, and then now you play tight end at Florida. That's kind of a weird jump. Tell us how you went from playing high school basketball to being a tight end at Florida.
Yeah, I mean, going into college, I kind of came with the acceptance that I wasn't going to play D1 ball because I had like offers from D2, D3 schools, but it was like nothing, that really wowed me. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, well, I'll just go to UF for academics. Thankfully I got in. As you know, my pops went there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I got there, I actually was going to try to walk on. And so I reached out to a few members of the coaching staff, and I got one of their attention. And so we would communicate that summer of like 2017, and like he would just tell me to go like see him in his office or whatever in
Mm-hmm.
September. So I go on campus, and then I find out that he left. He went to go coach at FAU or something like that. So that kind of fell through. So all I really did the first like 2 years was just be like regular student, just be a part of like clubs, organizations, play intramural, basketball, flag football. And so my sophomore year, which was Coach Mullins' first year at Florida as a head coach, I just happened to have a flag football game one day, and then like two players that were actually on the team were there, and I just happened to have like a pretty solid game. I had like four touchdowns. Like all I had to do was just like raise my arms a little bit. But yeah, I just was tearing up everybody, and so they asked me after the game. They were like, "Yo, you ever thought about playing?" And I was like, "To be honest with you, nah. Like I've never played football before. I mean, the most I've ever done was play, catch a recess or something like
Mm-hmm.
that." And they were just telling me about like their experience about how like playing for Florida was like the best decision they ever made. And so they were like, think about it. And I was like, all right. I kind of let it go through one ear and out the other, but that week just so happened to be the week we played LSU, and that's like a big rivalry game down here. And that was like the first time like I saw the Swamp, as advertised, like 90,000 just like screaming like from start to finish. And so we won that game off of like a game winning pick six. And so like after that game, I thought about it a little more, and then I talked to some friends, I talked to my family, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to dedicate myself for the next 4 to 5 months because tryouts are usually in February. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say from about October to February, I was just getting in shape because like at that time I would say about 6'4" and maybe 195, 200 on a good
Mm-hmm.
day. And so I just like would just work out every day, just try to do some football drills here and there, just find people to work with. And fast forward to February, and then came to tryout, and turns out we didn't even do any football drills. We just did like straight agility because it was during this period called what's it called, the dead period, where it's like you
Yeah.
can't like have like in-person recruiting, you can't like do
Right.
work on the football or anything like that. So it was just like straight agility, which I thrive at because playing basketball you do a whole lot of that.
Well, that's
And
all you do, man.
yeah, it was pretty easy for me. So I tried out. I told them my class schedule and all that, and they were telling me, all right, we'll see. So I'm preparing to make phone calls to my friends, family, tell them I make it before I could even do that. Dude knocks on my glass door on my car, and he's like, hold up. I'm like, what's the problem? And he was like, it's like we would love to keep you, but your schedule kills you. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, the time you have class is the time we practice for spring ball. What does that mean for me? Does that mean I didn't make it? He said, no, you made it. You just gotta wait till summer A. So
Mm.
so at the time it sucked that I had to wait again because I had to watch one of my other friends who tried out with me make the team and post every day on his Snap story, the locker room, his jersey number, and like the spring game, all that. So like I had to unfriend him for a little bit. But like fast forward to the summer A term, May goes by. The days in June are going by. So at that time, I'm starting to accept the fact, like, all right, he was just talking out of his head, and they just forgot about me. And sure enough, he called me, and he was like, "You ready?" And I was like,
"Yes, sir."
Yeah. So, I go down, and you got to get like all the like tests, like the EKGs, the blood tests. You got to make sure you get all your physicals, and all that stuff we've done since like middle school. I had to do all that, and then like I'm seeing like all these players, and I'm trying my hardest not to be like a fangirl or anything, because like the closest I've like been to the players. I'm like, damn, I really got access to like all this now, and so it was definitely a culture shock. But yeah, and then from that point on, I was on the team for 2 years, and it's just crazy how it just flew by.
Oh, I bet. Like what coming in, let's say start of your junior year, you're going to practice. What were you weighing about then? I'm sure you're still 6'4", obviously didn't grow anymore.
I actually did grow a little bit. I'm
for real?
Yeah, I'm like 6'5" now. And going into camp, I was about 235, 240, around that range.
That's a lot more mass you put on. Holy crap.
Oh yeah. No, that those Gatorade protein and nutrition shakes they give us are no joke. So
I'm sure you got to take a hit though from those Florida players. Holy crap.
It's crazy. The more I think about it, like I only got hard, I would say maybe once or twice. Yeah, and it wasn't really even on purpose. It was just kind of like we just like kind of like bumped into each other.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I never really got. Well, thankfully, I never really got my head popped out by anybody. Not to mention, I was kind of one of the nicer guys on the team, so like nobody really like messed with me like that. So
no one had a target on your back.
Yeah, I always had that kind of closure. So like anytime like guys like John Grenard, who was this big buck that we had, anytime we would talk, he would be cool with me. Like sometimes like during scout period, like and we take a break, he'll just take time out of his day and just start talking to me. I'm like, oh snap, this is pretty dope. So yeah, like I said, that was. I mean, just seeing how much. I mean, you could even tell by some of my like pictures from like junior year to senior year. I mean, like the difference. I just look more like a football player my senior year. Like junior year, I just look like a basketball player that threw on some pads and just called it a day. I ain't have no drip either. I was just like, all right, I'm here. But
you didn't have your black visor yet? Well, did you have one? I don't even know if you did.
It's crazy though. So like my first year, I didn't even know the difference between helmets. I was like, man, just give me one with the word Gators on it. I really don't care. They gave me like a 3-bar, like tight, like 3-bar typical tight end, face mask, and so I wasn't really thinking about any of that. And then the next year I was like, okay, nah, I gotta change it up. So I got a Speed Flex, which was like one of the best helmets, and they actually let me get a visor. So I was, like I said, I had a lot more drip.
You dripped out by that point.
Gotta be feeling sweet looking with the black visor and I'm sure it's got the orange frame helmet with those bars.
Oh man,
that's just mean. Look mean when you get down on the line of scrimmage.
No, I had a gray one. I didn't have a black one. The only time I wore a black one was when I actually had to get one. I think it was like from Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that, and I was just wearing it like our scrimmage. Because one thing about our scrimmages, that's like when everybody puts on like the gear and stuff like that. So I did the same thing. I would like put on like a sleeve, have bands go all the way down my veins, and
you look like a creative player almost.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And you got everybody out there just trying stuff on, seeing what they look sweet in.
Right.
That's awesome. So like college athlete, you get to college, they throw this schedule at you as soon as you're on the team. Like, what is that? Is that just all rushing at you? Like, how do you balance that? And like, how does that affect your work? Because obviously, school is right up there number one.
To be honest with you, it's a lot easier in my opinion than like middle school and high school, because like middle school and high school, you're having classes like all day long, and in college, it's like you have like, well, at least for me, I had like divisions between my classes. like I'm a morning person, so I would just have class in the morning, knock that out the way and do all my football stuff in the afternoon, and then like I'll have like plenty of time like in the evening to do my like homework and stuff. So for me, from my experience, I think like managing that in high school was harder than college. And so like once I shifted from just being a student to an athlete, it was pretty easy because 2 years that that can go by, it goes by like that. So like all right, I kind of gotta rejuvenate, kind of get back to where I was, and so it was actually a lot easier than I anticipated, to be real with you.
It's probably a lot easier also, having 2 years under your belt already, going to class, doing work, knowing how much time you need for each of those things. So
yeah, once you're like a junior or senior, like the class level, they kind of chill a little bit, in my opinion.
Well, and going from in high school, like class, like 8 to 3 or whatever your thing is, and then practice right after, game days, you're busy all afternoon.
Oh yeah.
And then you got to find the time to do homework, and the classes aren't funny at all. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you're at a big school. Everybody knows Florida football, all the history there. How does it feel just walking around? Like, is that just the best weight to have on your shoulders? Like just wearing that jersey, feeling so sweet.
I don't mean to rub it in. Because
please rub it in.
I personally think like one of the in my top 5 of best feelings in the world. It could be up there as like number 1 or 2. Just like running out the tunnel in front of like 90,000 people. Like two times that I'll never forget. One was the Auburn game. That was our homecoming game. That's when we brought back our classic uniforms from like 10 years ago. Everyone was hyped about it, and I just like looked around, and I like my feet, I'm pretty sure, were not even touching the ground when I was running. I felt like I was on clouds, just roaming. And then the second time was when we played Florida State. We did not beat Florida State we haven't beaten Florida State in Gainesville at that time since Tebow left. So that's like 10 years. That's like 10 years of them just like beating us in Gainesville. So like that year, I just knew we were going to handle Florida State. So it meant a lot more to me because out of every rivalry we have, I hate Florida State the most. It's not even close. Like Georgia and LSU, yeah, whatever. I hate Florida State. And so just seeing like how people, especially like it being Thanksgiving weekend, like people just came back from Thanksgiving to, watch us, beat Florida State. Like that was so cool. I mean, it was just like, and not to mention I brought up some new drip just for that game. So,
yes, sir.
So that was very fun. We ended up beating like 40-something to 17, I think.
I bet you're happy they suck now.
Just rocking it the whole game.
You know what's crazy, man? Like I thought I would like it that they suck. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's better than them being great. But personally, I would have wished that the matchups between us while I was here was a little like closer, kind of like in the 90s when both of them were really good. But I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm leaving Florida 2-1 against them, and my best friend, Jared John, he's a Seminole, so he's got to live with that the rest of his life, and I'm cool with that.
You still tight with him?
Oh yeah, man, his name's Brother in my phone.
There we go. I haven't seen him or talked to him forever.
Yeah. Jared's doing good. I actually just spoke to him like an hour ago. So I told him I was on your show. He's like, "You talking about Bryce Turner?" I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah.
I know he just got a job in Florida, right?
Yeah, Florida Farm Bureau. He snagged it in Daytona. What, he announced it on Facebook or something?
I mean, his parents and my parents are still good friends, so.
Gotcha. Yeah. But he's at a Florida Farm Bureau in Daytona, so he'll be down there. He actually just snagged an apartment, so he's balling right now. So
yeah, shout out Jared. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Making moves in life is always super fun, and it's the thing Bryce is going through too right now. So congratulations, Bryce.
Got a job in Raleigh.
Congratulations.
Moved out Monday.
You said you start Monday?
I moved out from Charlotte on Monday. I start April 1st.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, Bryce. everybody leaving Charlotte. That's crazy.
I know.
But so Clifford, one of the things that we know about you, and one of the things I think a lot of people know about you, is your TikTok. and just walk me through it. What would you consider to be your favorite like kind of TikTok? Like, what's your TikTok brand if you had to name one?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh my. Okay, that's actually. I just tried to recreate this one the other day. Actually, I don't know if you guys remember last summer when I mean, this video was like all over the place. It was like House of Highlights, ESPN, Overtime. This thing was on iFunny. When was the last time we used iFunny? Like in middle school?
Yeah,
It was
2013.
it was like everywhere. I kept getting it from like in my direct messages from people all over the country, like, yo, is this you? Is this you? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. But I mean, hey, that put me on. It was the one where I had the music on, and it was like what your teammates think you're listening to versus what you're actually listening to. It was like some hardcore rap, and then it just went straight to like Big Time Rush or something like that. That video put me like on the map. And then when I did, back in January, so I did a takeover for the Florida Gators TikTok page actually. And one of the videos I did, I was in the basketball facility, and it was like one of those like 3 seconds left in the game, 3, 2, and like I shot and I missed it. And I said, no good, but 3 seconds have somehow been magically added. And so I kept doing it, and then that ended up on Sports Center, and that again put me back on the stratosphere, because like I can honestly say, like, once my college football career was over, I thought my account and my page were done. I thought it was wrapped. I could not be more wrong. So
it's just starting, man.
Yeah, because now I can start making. It's actually pretty funny now, because like now, like I'm in support of NCAA athletes getting paid. Like I think we all are, but like knowing that they're not and I am, I kind of like rub it in just like a tag.
Yeah.
Well, how do you get paid with TikTok? I didn't think you made money from that.
Well, it really just depends on like people that you partner with. So like if a company like reaches out to you, like I just had one reach out to me today. Snack. It's like some dating, some like new dating app or whatever. It's like the Tinder of TikTok, whatever they call it. And so they just reached out to me today, and they were like, "Yo, it's like we would love to, pay you for these amount of posts and these." I'm like, "Oh, say less." Like, look, man, like this isn't really my style, and y'all know that. But if y'all still willing to pay me,
I'm here for it.
Say less. Where that paper? I'm gonna sign it right now. What we doing? Let's get to work.
Download the app right now.
Yeah. So I 20 million. I don't even know. Well, I'm down. I'm just like, but that's neither here nor there.
We won't tell Snack that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, we won't. I mean, we'll promote them if we have to.
That's one of the really cool things about TikTok too, is like you were talking about once your college football career was over, you thought, to kind of fall off. But I mean, with TikTok, does it really matter who you're watching, right? Like I bet Bryce and Carson and you have people that you consistently look for, but other than that, it's just scrolling, right?
Yeah.
You're just looking for, whatever makes you laugh. And that's like that's the best part. It's not like a YouTube or, a Twitter where you look specifically for certain people. You just watch and you just enjoy it.
Right.
So,
yeah. You don't have to be somebody big to be somebody big, That's why it's awesome. And that's why we love to see you blow up, man.
Yeah, man. It's great. Like I'm like, man, now I'm at a point, it's like, thank you. I still get that, like I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes like I'll flex my TikTok name, because like I remember I spoke to some people about getting my name switched from my full name to just my first name, and they were like, well, the dude that has been inactive for 5 years. I'm like, say less, give me that. And so anytime someone like outside, like they'll be like, are you from TikTok? Sometimes I'll just be like, no. They're like, yeah, you are. You're that Clifford guy. I'm like, oh, that's not me. And then I'll proceed to show them something. And they're like, see, I told you it was you. I was like, yeah, I was just playing with you.
Man, I'll be doing that all the time.
What a flex.
Yeah. All right, switching gears a little bit now. Obviously, we talked about you personally in football and TikTok, but now we have to ask. We have to ask it. How was playing with people like Kyle Pitts? Was that not the coolest thing of all time, being able to learn and play with them?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like playing with him was really, really cool. But like I was one of those guys that like didn't really read the media as much during the season because I know how good he is.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, it's like, I'm gonna see you tomorrow. But no, like on some real stuff, like both of them, Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, they're like two of like the coolest, laid back people ever. I know for some people it might not seem that way, but like they are just like real loyal, down to earth people. Like if I text Kyle like now, he'll probably respond in like no more than 30 minutes. And that's one thing I like about him is like those bonds and those brotherhoods that he has, like he keeps for life. Like there are times when he'll just ask me like how I'm doing and like all is well, because I know he's probably somewhere in like LA or somewhere very exclusive right now getting all kinds of deals and sponsorships. And it's like the fact that he spends time out of his day, sometimes reach out to me and I'll reach out to him. It's like it just goes to show you that who he is as a person. Cause like he's a guy from Philly, so he ain't one of those guys that's like, yeah, I'm going to the NFL. Like, oh, y'all can just leave me alone. And that's one thing I like about it. And he taught me everything really I needed to know about being a tight end. Like he showed me like all the right techniques, all the right footwork. And don't get me wrong, like all the other tight ends did as well, but just the way he went about his game and his passion for the game and his ability to to help me along with like other walk-ons. I mean, it was just like the perfect fit. And so like I'm so honored to say that I played alongside him, let alone was in the same tight end room as him.
Yeah. Sure.
So that's probably gonna be my biggest flex whenever I go to a job and be like, oh, you did that? Oh, that's cool. I played with Kyle Pitts. So I got plenty of film and plenty of pictures to prove it. So you want to say?
So it was like from our point of view, Kyle Pitts, he's the greatest tight end prospect of all time. Like
100%.
From our point of view, it's like, I mean, there's no way that's just normal walking into a room and he's kind of just chilling there. But I mean, for you, it probably was. That was every day.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy. He's almost too chill because like he's chill like during the meetings and all that, but as soon as he gets on the field, he just like flips a switch and it's just like
he's an animal.
I don't even know what to say, but he's just a matchup nightmare. And I'm so glad I didn't choose defense when I tried out to be a walk-on because I was very close to doing either defensive end or linebacker. I'm very glad I didn't. So
be right looking right up at him.
Yeah.
Well, what would you do if he went to the Panthers? He probably won't. But...
I already about that too. I already told him. I was like, look, man, if you go to Charlotte, if you end up in Charlotte, you're gonna have to run me them field access tickets. And he know that. I told him that like 2 months ago because some draft page called the Draft Network, they had posted like a Photoshop picture of him in a Panthers uniform, and it was crispy. And I posted that on my story. I'm like, look, man, he already know if he ends up in Charlotte, them field access tickets better come in hot. Like I'm already like a PSL owner, so anytime I want to go to a Panther game, I can. But I will not say no to no field access tickets, especially from a brother. Yeah, exactly. So he already know the deal. But honestly, like honestly though, out of respect for him, like I really hope the Eagles get him with the 6th pick because he's from Philly. That would literally be like the perfect storm if he ends up back home and has that home loyalty, that home crowd. He'd be a Philly legend. No disrespect to Zach Ertz, but they would probably forget who he is in like a few years.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're looking to trade him right now. That's what I heard.
Crazy. Yeah, what a tight end room that would be.
Which is crazy. They really shouldn't. I mean, Zach Ertz is a baller. I mean, we all know that. He did numbers for me in fantasy before he got hurt. So,
and I'm sure he won't have to call it on draft day, but those personality traits, we hear it time and time again. Like that's what they look for in the interviews, and I'm sure those will stick out for him. And I'm excited to watch him next year, no matter where he ends up.
Yeah.
Kind of hope he goes to Charlotte too, because that'd be really sweet. And the bigger name guys that are home guys, the cooler that is. But it's good to hear a little preview for as we're getting closer to the draft, especially from an insider. But we want to bring the focus back to you a little bit. We've talked about your life and where you've gone up to this point, but we want to know like what's everything look like now? Like what are you looking at heading forward?
Well, now, as you can see, I am chilling in the comfort of my apartment with my jerseys framed up because I am no longer a player. But
yes,
But honestly, my days right now, they consist of just going to the gym, just trying to stay in, reasonable shape, chilling by the pool because, it's warm down here. No offense, guys. Just hanging out with some of my friends and my family whenever they come up here. My roommates are the coolest guys ever. And honestly, now I'm actually working on an internship with through Wilson. It's called Gigs for Game Changers. And I'm working in the talent and influencer research. So it's almost like a kind of like a judge, almost like an X Factor. You have those singers who are judges. I feel like I'm kind of one of those influencers who's a judge who reaches out to people and is like, hey, we would love to, work with you and partner up with you, through Wilson, do some giveaways or something like that. So it's kind of like that next step as far as working in the world of social media. So that's really cool. I'm also interning actually with the Florida Gators social media team. So I've helped create content, develop some ideas for, future content, in the summer and fall. So I definitely, working in that field alongside with graphic design, which is my actual major. So if I can blend the two together, that would be a dream job. I actually had some conversations 2 weeks ago, actually, with the NBA, actually about working with them. And so I actually have to contact them because, as this semester continues to come to a close, I got to keep them, updated with what's going on. So if I can land a job with them, that would just be icing.
That'd be next level, dude.
That'd be next level. So I would more than likely take it and have to end up going to New Jersey or New York. So definitely a lot going on, trying to hustle as I, get out of college, because I don't want to get out of college and then start job hunting, because I feel like that never really works for people. So
trust me, it was the most stressful thing of all time.
just trying to get a head start.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I hope you land that freaking job with the NBA. That'd be awesome.
Oh man, I appreciate it.
That'd be a dream come true. But you hoop anymore?
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize I don't stop. Like, I still have my rim here.
Oh yeah,
sir.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no. Basketball, that never went away. I'll never forget one time too. So it was a day that we had we were supposed to have mat drills, and so our strength coach was like, everybody go in the meeting room. So we never go in the meeting room before our mat drill. So I thought we were in trouble. And so how about Coach Mullins walks in with a full orange Florida Gators men's basketball uniform, with a headband and the J's and all that. I'm like, what is going on? And so they just pulled up this little slideshow, basketball tournament. I'm like, what? I'm like, yo, is this just meant for me or something like that? Because most teams I don't think ever do that. And so he was like, yeah, we're going to have teams and we're going to go to the actual basketball facility. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dreaming, man. Come on. And it's like at 6 a.m. So that just woke me up. I'm like, all right. So they gave us some threes or something like that just for that day to let us keep. And so I was like, yo, run me a headband. I had 2 sleeves on that day. I remember. and we were balling for an hour, and I was going ham. And so we had a little dunk contest. And I'll be real, I'm not really a fancy dunk. I'm more of a fundamental, big man throw it down type of dunk. So I did my little dunk, and I was happy because everybody was happy for me. And that was actually one of my favorite moments being a Gator, that basketball tournament, because I would tell everybody that I used to hoop, but football players think they can do everything. So they would be like, man, you can't hoop. And once I started hooping, and it was crazy because our first game, my first point, I vividly remember, it was like a little putback dunk. Mm-hmm. And so the very next play on defense, I just swatted the ball and it hit it hit one of our players, and it was just like, oh snap, he can play. And so I was definitely feeling myself for that good hour and a half. So,
you the best hooper on the team?
It's between three people. It's between me, Anthony Richardson, and Trent Whittemore, Gainesville local. He can hoop. It's between us three.
Love it.
Wow, top 3 hooper on the Florida football team.
Self-proclaimed. So
yeah, self-proclaimed, of course. Yeah. Unqualified.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll definitely ask for you to be on the basketball team now. Can Coach Mullins hoop?
Yeah. Where's his hoop game at?
DVD. We never saw him play. It was just a players thing. So only people that know, I'm assuming, is his family.
Come on, Coach.
Yeah. I know, get all dressed up with his headband on and not even Not even show off for the
That's
kids.
that's false advertising.
How tall is Coach Mullins?
Coach Mullins, I'd say 6'1".
You think he can bang? Think he's ever been able to bang?
Maybe in college. Stories he's told us about college, I would assume so. That would be my guess. But now he was just like a goofy guy. But I loved him. I mean, he was the best. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all saw like on Halloween when he dressed up as Darth Vader. I'm like,
yeah,
only he can do that, man. It's just like he's just like the coolest, goofiest coach ever. Like it's for me, it's almost like impossible to hate him. There's really nothing wrong with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, we don't have that same experience because we're not on the team and we don't know him. But no,
we're unqualified.
We're unqualified. Outside looking in, though, he's an awesome guy. But Cliff, dude, thanks so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. Always good to see you, brother. Like when you hit me up, I'm like, Bryce Turner, because like sometimes I'll get messages and I'll just be like, big fan, and you started with Hey Cliff, I'm like, Bryce Turner. So like, I was kind of hyped when you hit me up. I'm like, oh man, you should, man. It's a shame that you were in my request, man. It's a shame. I'm sorry for that. But yeah, man, dude, it was so good like hearing from you again, man.
Yeah, man, we definitely got to catch up at some point. Maybe you can come on the show again. We'd really appreciate it. But
oh yeah, anytime, man. You ain't even gotta ask.
Dude, take it easy. Good luck on your career. Hopeful NBA. Hopefully working for the NBA. Hopefully not. I do have to ask though before we leave. How pissed off were you about Lamela breaking his wrist? I know you're a Charlotte boy.
I mean, you know firsthand, man. Anytime we get a little superstar, something always got to go wrong.
Something has to, dude.
Something always got to go wrong. But in my humble, biased opinion, he has done enough to win Rookie of the Year. In my opinion,
I agree.
Don't get me wrong.
50 games.
Don't get me wrong.
Plenty.
Anthony Edwards has been doing great, but LaMelo first. Like you can't make it up. So
you can't do better than that.
Yeah. Literally. So like honestly, I'm at a point now where it's like because we're way ahead of our like rebuild. Because like I'm stunned that we're like a game or two over 500. Mm-hmm. Like I did not expect that coming into this season. Like even with Gordon Hayward, I was like, we'll be better, but we won't be a playoff contender. But looking at our team now and just like our chemistry, it's like, oh man, we're way ahead of schedule. But I'm totally here for it.
Yeah, dude, it's been fun to watch. And Gordon Hayward's been playing out of his mind too, way better than I expected.
Yeah, he almost messed around and was an all-star.
I know. But dude, thanks again for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Good catching up with you a little bit. It's been way too long. Yeah. But take it easy. We'll be in touch. And guys, go Gators. First time I ever said that in my life.
Always
Gators.
Thank you.
Well, that was a great talk with Clifford. I know we had a lot of fun with that. But definitely enjoyed that. Definitely loved having him on, and it's really cool to see perspective from a college athlete. You know, just even if he wasn't Division I, it's just getting a very short sight into just how awesome it is to be on TV every week and to be awesome like Cliff. So congratulations to him.
Except he was Division I.
Yeah, except he was Division I and he flexed it on us, and that was really cool. But hey, congratulations to him on being our third qualified talker on Unqualified Sports Talk. Love him.
Thank you, Cliff. Congrats. Congrats on your job in the NBA.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. We're announcing that right now, even though it's not true. But congratulations and hook 'em, Clifford.
But we speak things into existence. So
we do. That is something that we do here on Unqualified Sports Talk. But we do have a lot of news to go over this week because it was a big week in the world of sports. We had a lot of tournament games. We had the butt end of NFL free agency, and we are just past the NBA trade deadline with some other big things happening. So let's get into the NFL this week, guys. We had a couple big signings towards, I guess we call this the second wave of free agency because we had that first initial wave with all those signings in the first days, and then the other guys are like slowly throughout the coming weeks. But, you know, the big signing, Kenny Galladay, what'd y'all think about that?
Mr. Thanksgiving, right?
He is Mr. Thanksgiving. From one blue blood of the NFL to the other. Kinda.
In a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions aren't necessarily blue bloods, but they've been around for forever.
Yeah. They're blue bloods on
Well,
Thanksgiving.
are there any other NFL teams that are blue besides the Lions and Giants?
I mean, technically New England, but I guess not necessarily.
Not that
Nope, so
color blue.
they're the blue bloods then.
Yeah, technically Jacksonville. If you think teal is a blue.
Oh, I guess, maybe the Carolina Panthers.
The Titans, the
Oh yeah,
Panthers.
the Panthers.
But there are
aren't
no
any
other
blue
blue
teams.
Oh,
teams.
okay.
The Bills. There aren't any blue
Well,
teams.
the two blue bloods.
Okay, yeah, there's only two
Yeah,
blue bloods.
yeah.
But yeah,
The
Kenny
Lions and
Galladay
the Giants.
to the Giants, 4 years, $80 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously, if you're Daniel Jones, you're loving it, and if you're Jared Goff, you're punching the air right now. But do we actually think, like, if the injuries aren't a concern, does he make such a difference to be worth $20 million a year?
No.
No.
I mean, at this point, you're the Giants. You're trying to rebuild, right? Yeah, Kenny Galladay's a great player, but you usually see people in rebuilding. First of all, rebuild through the draft. We don't know what they're going to do in the draft yet. But second of all, using a lot of their free agent money for veterans that don't cost a lot of money but can like bring certain things to the table. Obviously, $20 million a year, that's could potentially be quarterback money for someone like what Jimmy G's getting around that much. Cam Newton's getting like 3. So like, how important really is Kenny Galladay going to be to the Giants? I mean, obviously the Giants' defense is next level. They're great. But it's going to be interesting to see if Daniel Jones can take a year 3 jump like quarterbacks like Josh Allen just did when it was literally night and day between years 2 and 3. If that happens, Kenny Galladay is going to be the Stephon Diggs of this year. I mean, I hope it is for the Giants' sake because that whole division, that team's been bad since they won their last Super Bowl in 2011. But we'll see what happens. My initial thought is no, but maybe.
Yeah, and that jump from Daniel Jones is entirely the difference between Kenny Galladay getting, being a 700-yard receiver and him being an 1,100-yard receiver.
Yeah.
Which I think the latter of that would be, okay, $20 million, we can talk.
Yeah, and you also have to look at it from a business perspective of if they have the money, and you can't just lay the money away and save it, right? If they have the money and they're not going to be able to spend it on anyone else, they feel like, and they think they can get Kenny Galladay, but only for this amount, then having him and not having them, and then just losing that money, I think that's valuable, or that is a valuable way to think about it at least.
And I know we've been talking the past couple weeks about the cap being cut, how it's, being a detriment to most teams, but Giants seem to kind of throw that out the window and give Kenny Galladay $20 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, it goes down $16 million, and they dish out more than that. But also teams are, they are bracing for it to spike, big spike. We're talking $30 million maybe. Especially that's not even considering if there's a post-COVID boom, because who knows, it could reach, 250 million in 2 to 3 years, and that would just be insane. But quick note on Kenny Galladay, his value was diminished. He missed 11 games last year, but in the prior 3 years he missed 6 games. He's not particularly healthy. But I do think big receiver for Danny Dimes. He's the only receiver on the roster over 6'1", and he's 6'4". And I think it's definitely just going to help that step for Daniel Jones. And hopefully, good things are to come for the Giants. But speaking of Daniel Jones, we've got another quarterback situation. Bryce, your Bills made a big signing this week. I think it was definitely the one that made the most headlines other than the Galladay deal, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But what do you think about Mitch Trubisky to the Bills?
Yeah, as you know, me and Carson are NC State boys, so we hate UNC with all of our heart and soul.
Our hearts.
So seeing Mitch to the Bills, it didn't hurt me at all because Mitch sucks. But no, he doesn't really suck that bad. If you just take a look back and see what he's done over the course of his career, his only 2 years where he like truly was able to start and not starting 9 games or 12 games or whatever it is, like his first year and this past year, he was throwing over 3,000 yards a season. He was a Pro Bowler in his second year. So obviously there's still gas in the tank. It's not, you can't write him off yet. That's a little too early, I think. But this is a prove it year for him. He's going to go under an offensive coordinator who is able to turn Josh Allen into an MVP candidate and a magician with the football. So hopefully there's some sort of development that can go on with Mitch to kind of have him turn a corner and be noticed. And he's going to be working with a lot more weapons than he had in Chicago in terms of the offense. So maybe that will also kind of open his eyes a little bit and allow him to further develop into the quarterback, the number 2 overall pick. If you're the number 2 overall pick, obviously there's high expectations. We've seen plenty of busts, but we've also seen plenty of people exceed head over heels in that number 2, the number 5 pick. So I still think there's a lot of room for him to improve. I think it was smart signing for 1 year because this really has to be a prove it year. And hopefully, for Mitch's sake, he can get something coming out of this year. People may be giving him a second chance, like Jameis Winston was trying to do. He's probably going to be the starter for the Saints after this year. And maybe for some odd reason, the Bills are scared that Josh Allen's going to want to seek money somewhere else. But I definitely do not see that happening. And already having a quarterback familiar with the system would obviously help. Like Matt Barkley's obviously a downgrade from Mitch Trubisky, but
Yeah.
And Josh Allen's not going anywhere. I mean, I'm just telling myself that just because you never know. But congrats, Mitch, on getting on a great team, and
Yeah,
hopefully something can come out of that.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the conversation at this point is really like, is it a better deal for Mitch or is it a better deal for the Bills? Because any way you look at it, it's pretty much an A++ deal for both sides.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as a Bills fan, you have the best backup in the league now. So, and Josh Allen's he's historically not the healthiest person in the world. I mean, this year he was, but he's had concussions. He's had problems with his elbow in the past. He likes to take a hit. So it's smart to have the best backup in the league.
Hopefully this doesn't end up being a Blake Bortles to the Rams type of situation. Where a back and forth, successful and then not successful quarterback goes to a team with a guy that seems like he's their guy, talking about Jared Goff with the Rams, and then you just never hear about him again, the backup, that is. Because when was the last time we heard about Blake Bortles since he went to L.A.?
I don't know. Doesn't he play for the Broncos now or something?
He was signed to the Broncos when that COVID thing happened with that wide receiver dude. I forget his name. Just because they were scared of something else happening like that. But I think he's actually practice squad right now.
His name's not Brock Osweiler, so he couldn't help the Broncos.
BCB, we love him. Yeah, but hey, congratulations to Mitch. Finally in an organization that isn't awful and in an organization that actually likes quarterbacks and doesn't neglect them. So hopefully good things ahead for both sides. Definitely seems like good things ahead for the Bills. Maybe a reset for Mitch, and hook 'em Trubisky, hook 'em Bills. But he's a quarterback that there weren't very many eyes on in free agency, and he obviously doesn't move the needle. But speaking of not moving the needle, my proclaimed most average quarterback in the NFL, Jimmy Garoppolo, might be on the move. Austin, is he going to be traded? Where's he going? What's the situation looking like?
Yeah, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, right, I'm taking just about any offer that's a pick in the first round and the third round or higher. So meaning either a first and a third or a first and a second, and then some irrelevant pieces, right, for Jimmy Garoppolo. Because obviously it was a huge deal when he left New England, right? And he looked like he was going to be the follow-up to Tom Brady, right? But obviously Brady shut the door on that one and continued to just be great. And the Patriots didn't want to just lose that that value that they had there. So Jimmy walked, and he got a huge deal from the 49ers, which doesn't really make sense to me because they don't require their quarterback to do literally anything in that offense.
That's true.
So having a quarterback like that that's making that much money when Nathan Peterman could hand the ball off 45 times a game, I don't see the point in him staying there. I don't think that he seems super happy there. I mean, he's barely even gotten to play because he's just injured. And whenever he did get to play, they lost the Super Bowl, so that's pretty depressing as well. So if I'm the 49ers, I'm looking to move him. I think there's a lot of people in the league that still think that he could be, if healthy, a Super Bowl quarterback. Obviously, he did contribute to them getting there in some ways, but I'm not super sold on him. I think maybe his time has passed and the injury bug has kind of gotten the better of him. But we've seen quarterbacks come back from that, but I'm not super sold. And if you ask me who I wanted for the next 5 years, he wouldn't be on my top 10. So
Well, here's the thing. You say the next 5 years. Yeah, Jimmy. What? How much longer? I think Jimmy G only has 2 more years on his contract.
Yes, I do believe so.
Right.
It was a 5-year
So
deal.
he doesn't have to be your quarterback for the next 5 years. He needs to be your quarterback for the next 2 years. And at this point in time, I don't really see the 49ers trading for a better quarterback, whether it means dealing Jimmy G and a pick or drafting one. Obviously, they're not going to be able to draft one. But I think at this point, hypothetically, Jimmy G in this scenario is healthy. So just keep that in mind when I'm talking. He comes back. He has a lot more offensive weapons around him now. Whether that be Samuel, what's his name?
Deebo Samuel.
Deebo Samuels, Ayuk,
Brandon
Brandon Ayuk. You know, you have a lot of young talent that wasn't there previously, and are developing since your Super Bowl run. Obviously, your defense is still going to be there, and I do think Jimmy G is a better than average quarterback. I'm on that side that Austin was talking about. That still think he has a lot more to contribute than what he did. The 49ers had 2-3 awesome backs that year they won the Super Bowl, so of course they're going to hand the ball off 40 times a game. And because, I mean, you have multiple running backs to carry that load. But I think at New England, we saw Jimmy G could win his first few games as a starter. Oh, he was undefeated, however long he was. Yeah.
He started 7-0.
I think he definitely can contribute being healthy more so than he has now, and he's getting paid $23 million this year and $24 the next year. So, like, I'm lying. It's 26 and 27. But for a good quarterback, we're not talking about a ton of money here.
No,
so,
I mean, that's pretty standard for a
so
second-tier quarterback.
Why try to trade a piece who's been in your system for multiple years now and has time to learn it, more weapons developing, and, has a very stout defense? Why not keep him? Try to win some games. You went to the Super Bowl once. You can do it again. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, and, no surprises in the Wii QB carousel this week, but we don't really expect him to move. But there are a lot of people around the league are reporting that it just makes too much sense for him to go back to New England. I don't really understand it. I think San Francisco gives him another year before actively shopping him because, well, quite frankly, the only year that he was healthy, they went to the Super Bowl. And that you can't overexpress that. They still have a really good defense. They still have Mustard the Beast, who can run like a sub 440. That's not true.
And Kyle
and they paid Juszczyk way too much money to be the fullback because they're committing to the running game, and maybe he can take a note out of Ryan Tannehill's book and just focus on play action passing and focus on being able to maximize the run by situational passing plays. like not knowing that he doesn't have to be leaned on. I think that'll be really good for him. And hey, maybe another year in, we can be talking about this next offseason, and maybe we're looking at him in a different light after a good season.
Maybe.
Hopefully for Jimmy G's sake, because he's the most attractive player in the NFL.
Yep, he is, no doubt.
And not much has really gone on in NFL this week. We just wanted to catch y'all up on a little bit of free agency things, and then obviously wanted to pick a quarterback to talk about this week, that being Jimmy G. But now we're moving on briefly to the NBA. Not a lot has gone on there. Either we have a couple injuries to report. LeBron, I'm sure y'all have seen it, is out with a high ankle sprain for a few weeks, and Lamela Ball is out for the rest of the season. T's and P's to him. That sucks. They were on a roll. You know, we're big Hornets fans here, being from North Carolina. But the real headline for this week is the Orlando Magic. They're making moves left and right on what's today, Thursday afternoon. And hey, are the Magic rebuilding ? Or are they actually trying to contend? I can't really tell what they're doing here. They traded away Vucevic and Aaron Gordon. So guys, walk me through what the heck happened there.
All right, Carson. I'll take Nikola Vucevic if you want to take Aaron Gordon.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So, like Bryce said, the Magic are making some moves today. They traded Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu to the Bulls for Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., Jr., and 2 first-round picks. 2021 and 2023, I believe, were the years for those picks. So, interesting. And I think there was also like a third team involved. Or the Bulls made another deal. It was weird, but the Bulls ended up getting Daniel Tice, and Chicago sent Mo Wagner to the Celtics.
Wagner, yeah.
So I think that was like loosely involved with this deal, or it was like there was some weird things going on with it. But the Magic, I think they got a lot, honestly, for these two players. And, you know, Vucevic is a good player, but I don't really see him as like a building, like something you would build around, right?
Well, I think he's great.
I mean, I think that he is an all-star level player, but I don't know if he is the kind of guy that you would lean on late into the season / the playoffs, right? Maybe it's just because we haven't seen that kind of, like, we haven't had that kind of exposure because he's been stuck in Orlando, right? But we'll see now that he's out. I mean, it's not like he's anywhere better. He's in Chicago, but
yeah, he moves like 4 spots up in the standings.
Yeah, which is like half a game in the East. But I'm excited to see, you know, what happens for the Bulls. Maybe this ends up being amazing, but maybe it ends up being terrible because Wendell Carter Jr. is someone that I'm pretty high on, and the value of two first-round picks is pretty high. So I don't know if they get a whole lot back here, but the Aaron Gordon one is interesting, Carson. What's going on there?
Well, you know, last quick note on Vucevic. I love him, and I think he's a great player, and it's very hard to get a great player. So, hey, kudos to the Bulls for going out and getting him. But the Denver Nuggets, they thought they saw their guy. They saw something in Aaron Gordon that I don't think anyone else sees because they traded for him. But it was Aaron Gordon for Gary Harris, who is a good starting wing. RJ Hampton, who at one point was, I'm fairly sure, a top 3 high school prospect, and a first-round pick, all going back to the Orlando Magic. So that's a really big haul for Aaron Gordon. Everyone knew that he wasn't happy, and it's probably because he lost so many dunk contests. But
Probably.
You know, personally, I think this is the Nuggets saying, you know, we need somebody that we can just throw at LeBron and Anthony Davis in 2.5 months, and you know, we're desperate. But also, I think that stems from just Jamal Murray making that jump and them saying, you know, we don't necessarily need Gary Harris anymore, which is kind of sad for Gary Harris. But with Jamal Murray making that jump, he's just a dominant guard, so they can move some of their assets to get bigger as a team. And, you know, hopefully Aaron Gordon can make a difference for them. I don't think he's necessarily found his calling offensively, but he's a big body. He's a good defender, and he can hopefully for the Nuggets guard anybody in the playoffs because there's some really, really tough wings in the West, and otherwise they would have struggled because they would have thrown Michael Porter Jr. at them. And we saw last year he can't guard LeBron, of course.
No one can.
But yeah, of course, no one can.
Other than Kawhi Leonard,
but they're gonna
like
throw Aaron
5
Gordon
years
at
ago.
him. Yeah.
But I do like
Orlando, congratulations.
in the Aaron Gordon side of things, that throwing in RJ Hampton, he could be a real asset to any team. Obviously, he's just a rookie, and he played in New Zealand, so we didn't get to really see him in the college landscape. But he could be awesome in a few years. You
I
said
was
he's a
always
top
really
3.
high on him.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that develops. And going off Gary Harris a little bit too, that really surprised me that they let him go because Jamal Murray is kind of a liability on defense. Gary Harris is the complete opposite. So that's interesting. And one more thing to point out about the Vooch side of things, those 2 first rounders, 2021 and 2023, those will probably be top 10 picks. So
yeah, especially
that
this
could
one
be
coming
worth
right up.
That could be worth a lot. So good. I think all in all, the Magic clearinghouse. Obviously, you said Aaron Gordon wanted out, and Vooch. He's a little bit older than the rest of the squad there in Orlando. So, hey, super young core now, and it's just going to get younger with those picks. So, congratulations to the Magic. I think that's a good move for them if they're wanting to rebrand themselves.
Definitely when they weren't winning games anyway.
Right.
Go ahead and punt on some of these guys, and you absolutely rake in the assets because just this Nuggets trade, you're getting effectively 3 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they got 2 more from the Celtics for with the Fournier trade too. 2 more second rounders. So, and those could be very valuable
picks.
So.
Yep, they're doing the Carson Prim strategy in 2K. Just get first round, second round picks.
Absolutely accumulate picks.
The average age on the Magic has got to be like 17 now, though.
Oh, yeah. It just went down multiple years.
They've got Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac as well, who are still there.
Cole Anthony.
Yeah, Cole
Terrence
Anthony.
Ross.
I don't even know if Cole Anthony is 20 yet.
I'm pretty sure that team can't vote. Like, 95% certain they're not old enough to vote.
I just looked it up. The average age is 16 and a half. So that's wild.
At least they can drive to the games.
They can. Yeah, barely. Half of them can't drive.
I don't even know what the laws around driving are in Florida, but
me either. They're probably not any because it's Florida. They ride Gators to practice. But hey,
well, to get a Gators license, you actually have to be 17. So.
Okay. Gotcha. My bad. See, I don't know. I'm not from Florida, but yeah,
Orlando. To talk about Florida too.
Yeah, unqualified.
We should ask Clifford. Clifford.
Get him
back.
Ask
Clifford.
Stats guy, get him back.
Stats guy, call Clifford. Ask him how old you have to be to ride a Gator. I think that's what we wanted to ask him. I couldn't really tell.
That's basically it.
But guys, that's what happened in the NBA this week.
That's what happened. Well, actually, there were 2 other things that happened. We had 2 really incredible streaks broken. One was Blake Griffin's dunking streak.
Since 2019.
It had been since 2019. He finally dunked. Congratulations to him. Just got to bring that up.
First points is the net, too. So.
Hey, congratulations. I know he was definitely making a statement by dunking. And then the other one, the Houston Rockets won for the first time in over a month. How wild.
And it's crazy to say it's not even a good thing that they won because at this point, you just want to lose the rest of your games.
No, yeah, they definitely want to lose. Trade away Oladipo and... but hey, congratulations for them for winning for the first time in over a month after losing 20 consecutive games. But, Bryce, we're done with the NBA.
Yes. And now we get to transition to the more exciting basketball this time of the year, March Madness. And there's a lot of storylines going on this March. So many upsets. I think this is the first time ever that we saw 4 teams higher than a 12 seed make the round of 32, 12 seed or higher. So that's exciting. But the story of the tournament, Oral Roberts. We got to talk about them first, and their star player, Max Among Us.
Well,
guys,
we love him.
We do. Max, he's actually insane. I'm sure no one ever heard of him before the tournament started, but now he's going to be a household name after this because March makes players like this famous.
Mhm.
He's the leading scorer in the nation, number 1, averaging 24 on the year. And in his 2 tournament games, 29 versus Ohio State, 26 versus Florida. Like, who is this guy? Why is he a scoring machine and dropping 30-point games against top 8 teams shooting 50% from 3? Like, what? And to make things even crazier, he's only a sophomore. So let's assume this year doesn't count for him. He'll be a sophomore next year, and he has 3 years of eligibility left. This man could be ruling the NCAA. Me and Carson, we tried, can he break Pistol Pete's record for most points in NCAA history? Answer that's no still. No one's ever going to, unless he just, starts averaging 80 points a game.
Supernova.
But this guy's crazy. But, it does leave the question, for me at least, after the whole nation's been able to see what he can do leading a 15 seed to the Sweet 16, which is only the second time in history that's ever happened. Is he going to stay at a school like Oral Roberts, or is he going Power 5 or Gonzaga route?
Yeah, especially with the new rules about transferring and everything. I think that you're probably going to see him move, right?
Well, have they approved the waiver without sitting? I know now you can graduate and transfer immediately, but they still haven't done like a COVID transfer thing. I don't think.
Because our friend of the show, Chris Herron Jr., was able to play a few games.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I do believe you can play right away. I don't know if that's specifically a COVID thing, or if that's permanent, but I think he'll be able to play immediately.
Well, and maybe that doesn't come next year, but already leading the league and scoring without this might be an unqualified take, but without being able to drink. I don't think he's 21 yet. Like, he's still very young. I will say he's listed at 6'1", and he's not got a shot at 6'1", even on a good day. But that is kind of like a recipe for him to be able to stick around. I know we saw Chris Clemens just absolutely dominate, and he didn't take that step early because, well, he was undersized and therefore undervalued. So, hey, we might see him stick around, but we're watching this weekend. Oral Roberts. Hopefully they can do it again. But those are 2 really, really big wins over 2-seed Ohio State and 7-seed Florida.
I already got my recruitment letter all typed out for him to come to NC State. So,
wow, I'll send it to him too.
Oh.
Yeah, sweet. Appreciate it.
He's got to see it from everywhere. We'll just ask him when he's on the podcast.
Do you guys hear that? I think the stats guy's back. Max is only 19. He'll turn 20 in about a few days. So he is not even close to 21.
To Max Asmus.
Me too, but congratulations for when he does turn 21. His first drink will be with his best friends, Bryce, Carson, and Austin. So
True.
Unqualified Sports Talk. Congratulations.
True.
But yeah, you did talk about how many upsets there were, and I just want to hear y'all's take on this. Do you think that is a kind of a side effect of just how many of these schools that have been around for so long not being in the tournament this year? Of course, pointing out Kentucky, Carolina, and Duke, and then Kansas also not being as good as they should have been.
Well, I think this has to do a lot with, you look at the teams left, and none of them are young teams. They're all experienced. They're all hardened through attrition, through battling. These, obviously, D1 athletes, their schedules are gruesome. So with COVID being you can't play out of conference, you're only playing limited conference games. Of course, everything's going to be different, and teams with just a ton of freshmen, a ton of sophomores, they're not going to be able to compete with these teams who have been there, done that. They don't have the bonding experience that otherwise they would in previous seasons. They're probably showing up to the games 10 minutes before tip-off. They're having to change and run out into the court. Like you can't get ready, you can't get to know your teammates the way that you used to. And chemistry's a lot with basketball, right? We've seen that a million times when the better team doesn't win because another unit knows how to play together.
Yeah.
And no different this year. You look at the Sweet 16, everybody's older than usual. There's no 40-0 Kentucky team. That Gonzaga team's been there a million years together. So it's exciting to watch, but I think that is the thing you circle for why we're not seeing all the blue bloods.
Yeah, and I would add to that, think about how these big schools and these big programs. I'll point out Kansas as my example here. Kansas has an enrollment of 20,000 students, right? And their basketball program is obviously huge. It's probably their biggest sport on campus, right? So there's so much attention that gets, placed on the basketball program. They have a bigger school, so the players and their students are exposed to more people because there's just more people around them. There's more people involved in their team. There's more staff and there's more support staff and things like that. And then also there's more media attention placed on these players, right? So they have way more risk whenever it comes to exposure to COVID, right? And I think we saw a lot of the big programs struggle with COVID throughout this year, right? But then think about a small school like Oral Roberts, right? 3,000 is their undergraduate enrollment. And they are, I still couldn't even tell you what conference they play in right off the top of my head.
No shot. Probably the MAAC.
That's
my guess.
That stands for the Oral Roberts Conference.
Yeah, the Oral
they
Roberts Conference.
probably play in like the Orozco and Pollo Conference of the Southeast, but you just think about.
There's nothing wrong with ACP.
No, not at all.
No,
it's classic. It's great. But anyways, they have so much less exposure. Not to say that they don't have their own struggles with COVID and exposure that comes with just playing basketball, but just the amount is less. And I think that takes a lot of the pressure off the players throughout the normal part of the year. And they're fresh and they're ready and they're inspired to win now because they know that this is their shot. They know this is a year when all the big schools are maybe not as solid and as polished as they usually are at this time of year. So they're ready to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, not to take away from any of the teams who had good seasons or any of the teams who have succeeded in the tournament, but I just think, if we saw 2 and 3 seeds, not to call out Texas and Ohio State, but if that was Duke and Kentucky, they're not going to lose in the first round unless it's Lehigh. Duke.
Or Mercer. Duke.
Yeah, Mercer. But, in those situations, I think you're talking about, if you're talking about these actual legendary coaches that will be talked about, through our great grandchildren's lifetimes. Like, I think if these smaller schools are going up against coaches like that, I think we don't see nearly as, or I think one of those or two of those upsets don't happen, honestly. But it's kind of been a perfect storm for everything for this year. And hey, congratulations to all these smaller schools for not only getting exposure, but for winning some games.
Congrats. We love to see it.
Congratulations to them. We love it.
So then I'm going to just segue a few points ahead in our notes here because I think it fits well. Can anyone beat Gonzaga? We all love a good Cinderella story. I know I'm personally really rooting for Loyola Chicago, but Bryce Carson, do you really think anyone can beat Gonzaga?
No, to keep it short. You look at every other team in the tournament, and probably the teams that were going to have a shot against them, these really lengthy teams who play good defense, which I would circle Florida State as one of those teams, but I don't think they're as good as some other teams built like that. Florida State could give them a run for their money just because of the way they play. But if one team's even going to come close to it that I think realistically has a shot at a championship, I would say it's probably Baylor. They probably have the best backcourt in the nation. So it's going to be a real duel between Gonzaga's front court, which has the potential to be the best in the nation, versus that back court. But the thing that keeps me saying no is Gonzaga's backcourt is right up there with Baylor's. They're probably second or third best in the nation. So, like, I mean, they have stars at all 5 positions. Jalen Suggs, he's going to be top 5 pick. So it's tough to pick against them right now. I think Illinois, as you saw in our bracket special, probably had the best shot against them, but they got booted, got killed by Loyola Chicago. So
by Krutwig.
So no is my answer.
Yeah, and there's obviously a short answer and a long answer, because the short answer is no. There's no one nearly as good as Gonzaga. But I mean, teams that could give them problems, obviously. Well, I'll start with my underdog. I think that USC could maybe give them some problems. I mean, USC's forwards go 6'8", 6'10", 7 foot, and that can be a problem for anybody on any given day. But Gonzaga's they're so good, like you said, Bryce, like at all 5 positions. They're just so balanced, and they have 3 superstars, but they have guys that can make shots at any time in the game all over the court. And it's pretty unstoppable. I do think Florida State get just extremely hot. Another team that I've been picking all along, Alabama, they could just come out and hit 33s and it would be game over, because a team is going to have to hit a hot streak like that and just shoot probably over 50% from long range to even have a shot against Gonzaga.
Yep, and that's going to be the recipe for it, right?
Yep.
A lot of threes, and they have to go in.
Be lucky. You're going to have to be lucky, hit some threes, play good defense, and even then you're going to have to make a run in the last 5 minutes.
But March is all about being lucky, so it could happen.
It is. It is all about it. And definitely teams to watch, Florida State, Alabama, because they are teams that can get lucky like that and hit that and hit a ridiculous amount of threes at a high clip.
Yep. And, we've been talking about Gonzaga. They don't really fit into a Power 5 conference at all.
Sadly not.
They should transition there. They just really can't because of football. But there is one team that everybody thought was going to wreck the college basketball landscape this year in the regular season. They did. And that's the Big Ten. But that turns out they only wrecked the regular season because they were playing each other. And another team, the Pac-12, who went completely under the radar this season, we all thought sucked. They had a few teams into the tournament. But guys, it seems like the Big Ten was super overrated and the Pac-12 was super underrated coming into March. It just, you take a look back at the whole season, you're thinking, wow, the Big Ten's gonna rule March. They got Illinois, Ohio State, a million other teams that got into the tournament. And who do the Pac-12 have? USC, Oregon, and Colorado somehow, Oregon State. But the Pac-12 has 4 teams in the Sweet 16. The Big Ten just has 1. And
UCLA, congratulations.
Yeah, UCLA, last 4 in. Texas and Purdue had some of the worst losses in NCAA history. Whereas Christian and Abilene and Purdue lost to North Texas. Like, come on now. And a team, Iowa, who we all thought was great with one of the best big men we've ever seen. Luka Garza, they took an L to Oregon. I know we've been high on Oregon on this show, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a rare head-to-head matchup in this example. An underrated Pac-12 team comes out and just shoots the lights out of it and destroys Iowa. I mean, it ended up being 95-80 around there.
And Luka Garza did his part though. I think he had
36 on 20 shots.
36. That's the most efficient thing ever. But when you can't play defense, and the rest of your team ain't doing much, then sorry.
Yeah, and this is this is where I make a comment that might not go anywhere, but I think that conference schedules are a little ridiculous. I mean, you're playing this season was an exception, but you're playing more than half your schedule. I know the ACC is moving to, I think, 20 games against other teams in your conference, so that doesn't leave a lot of room for more than half the teams in the conference to be good. You'll have this situation like we saw this year where they're good, well, because people kind of think they're good, and that's pretty much it because they're just playing each other.
And obviously that basis was completely false with the Big Ten.
Yeah, it clearly was, and clearly didn't last deep into March. And the Pac-12 underrated. Well, they just they played each other, and that's what it's like after the turn of the year every single season. So I would like to see, maybe it doesn't have to be like cut all the conference seasons or conference schedules in half, but maybe more things like, I know Duke plays St. John's like every other year in February, but like just off games like that, like when you switch your schedule over, maybe there be like a week in all of college basketball with just non-conference games, and they could market it as whatever they want to call it to get people to watch, but just like a time for us to be able to evaluate teams, with teams from other conferences later in the season, because clearly these November and December games aren't telling us much.
Yeah.
Well, you think like they should do the ACC Big Ten Challenge in
That's exactly what I was going to
February?
Yeah, the first
do it
week
in
of February.
February.
I mean, maybe, but also maybe like these tournaments that you have at the beginning of the season, maybe we could shift those to mid-season and have like the Maui thing with
Bill Walton.
whoever the heck wants to join it. Maybe do that the first week of February, give the kids a vacation.
Yeah,
And
why not?
Do it like before
have,
rivalry week, like 2 weeks before.
yeah,
or...
like have 2 or 3 teams from the ACC, SEC, Pac-12, Big 10, Big 12, like whatever you want to take, but bring like 8 or 16 teams to come play like a tournament. Play, well, we'll say 4 games, but everyone play 4 games. Not just elimination. Like everyone has a set amount of games, but just so we can know better, because obviously, like teams just playing each other doesn't really tell us anything about outside how to compare the conferences.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be really cool from a marketing standpoint to see, because college basketball gets kind of stale whenever conference play starts before rivalry games start happening, unless you're in a conference where there's non-rival teams that are both top 15 or both top 25.
Yeah. And that would give teams like Gonzaga a chance to, make a later season statement, rather than people saying, oh, they haven't played anybody in over 10 weeks because of their conference schedule.
But we're going to give them number 1 overall seed.
Yeah, of course.
That's every year.
They do. But the people, I mean, in this certain situation.
Okay.
Gonzaga definitely earned the 1 seed with all their non-conference games, but also those were in November and December. Like, who's to say this team's the same? I just think it's something to think about. I think it would be really cool, but also it would make a problem like this year maybe not nearly as bad.
Mm-hmm. You know what else? Something to think about? What, Bryce?
No, tell us.
Yeah, I'll tell you. We've been talking a lot about the underdogs winning in March. So, posing the question to y'all, what's your favorite upset so far in this March Madness? It could be a run that we've seen from a team or an individual game.
All right, Carson, who you got?
Well, I'm just going to quickly say Syracuse over West Virginia, because they're my underdog pick to win it all. And for some reason, they succeed as a double-digit seed. They make it to the Sweet 16, like what? Every time they're a double-digit seed?
Every time.
So, and also a little bit biased because I watched that game and it was actually extremely, extremely good game.
That's fair. Short and sweet.
True.
Short and sweet.
Probably tournament MVP right now.
Yeah, probably. Him or Max Asmus Among Us.
Among Us.
Well, Carson, I'm glad we chose different games, even though we chose the same team.
Ooh, that's tough.
Because I was thinking Syracuse, but their first round game against San Diego State. Obviously, San Diego State is not a team that you get super hyped about, But I was super hype watching Buddy Boeheim bang threes, 35 points.
All night.
Or 30 points in 35 minutes. He was red hot, and I was loving it. And that was probably the first time I've watched a Syracuse game this season, and I felt like I was watching just, a game that I would have been looking forward to, is what I'll say. Something that I had scheduled time out for. I enjoyed it that much, watching him just make San Diego State look like high school boys. So, and I'm pretty sure Buddy Boeheim's like 7'13" with like a 95-inch wingspan. So
And a 74-year-old dad.
yeah, and
Yeah,
he can shoot the
74-year-old
ball
dad. Little
faster
sus.
than I can blink my eyes.
Literally.
He's a stud. I want to change my answer, but Bryce, go ahead. I'm not going to change my answer.
Yeah, you can't now. It's already locked in. You already pressed the lock in button. But yeah, my favorite, if you watched our March Madness special, then you know I'm super high on this team and these brothers. My Bonnies, they lost. They kind of disappointed me big time. But the USC Trojans over the Kansas City Jayhawks. It's not Kansas City. Versus the Kansas Jayhawks. I know we talked about Kansas a little bit more this episode. Kansas takes more pride in their basketball team than anything ever. USC's historically more of a football school, having probably one of the best programs in history. But the Mobley brothers are ridiculous. They beat Kansas by over 30 points, which no one besides Bryce Turner thought was going to happen. And now I was kind of torn between Oregon and USC because I actually had both of them in my Sweet 16, which, no big deal here. And I'm super high on both teams, and I'm really excited for that matchup, but I have to give the edge to USC just because they have a stud player in Evan Mobley and his brother, who's also a stud, but not quite as a stud. But I'm excited for that game. Circle it. It's going to be a clash of the Titans in the Pac-12, which I never thought anyone would ever say. But hey, congrats to USC, proving everybody wrong.
USC. Yeah. And I want to change my pick, but I'm not going to change my pick.
But you can't. You're not allowed.
Austin.
I apologize for
Austin,
nothing.
But yeah, that was a really, really good first and second round in the tournament. I know we're all excited for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight this upcoming weekend. And into the week with this delayed schedule. But hey, hopefully some more upsets, hopefully some more big games, and I'm definitely excited to see the rest of this season progress through these last 15 games. But yeah, that's it. That's it for NCAA basketball this week. We love it, and this season is coming to an end. It's pretty sad, but we're covering it. But Saturday the games start, and there's also something else going on Saturday, Bryce. I know you're going to be tuning in. What are you watching?
All night long Saturday night. If you've listened to this podcast at all, I'm a UFC junkie. Actually got into it over quarantine when it first started because it was the only thing on. And the guy I watched, the first ever knockout I saw in UFC, the guy who got me absolutely sold out on UFC's fighting, his name is Sugar Sean O'Malley. He's returning after a kind of devastating loss his last time out. But I am loss. Sean O'Malley's still undefeated, one of the few fighters. He broke his foot in the first round, and it was just dumb. Sugar's still the best bantamweight in the world, but I'm so excited to see the return of him. He's going to dominate. Everybody knows it. First round knockout. Everybody knows it. But of course, I'm circling that. But the rest of America's probably circling the main event of the night, and that's the clash of the Titans, the clash of the heavyweights. Francis Ngannou versus Stipe Miocic. It's the rematch. Miocic won the first time being an underdog. Can he do it again being the underdog and defending champ? Like that's weird. You don't really see someone who's probably the greatest in their weight class of all time and reigning champ be an underdog to somebody. But here we go. Hardest hitter in history, Francis Ngannou. Literally, his uppercut is labeled as the uppercut from hell because he can punch so hard and turn the lights off in a fraction of a
Immediately.
second.
Yep.
Stipe's only advantage last fight, what won him the fight, in my personal opinion, is the ability to take Francis down. So we'll see if that happens again or if Francis has worked on his takedown defense. But I'm super pumped for this fight. I'm sure y'all got some things to add to it, but it's going to be a night of great fights. Not a very deep card in terms of the amount of fights, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Ngannou Stipe, I hope, is the headline fight that we were hoping for whenever Stipe and Daniel Cormier got in the octagon. Obviously, that fight, it went 5 rounds, but it was kind of a snooze fest, especially at midnight. At least for me, you guys feel free to disagree, but I hope this is more of a classic heavyweight bout where the guys go in there and they somehow eat 95 punches and it's just a slugfest, and I love it. But it could also just be one punch from Ngannou, and Stipe looks like Daniel Cormier. So he literally
who knows?
goes down in height like 5 inches or 7.
It could look a lot like the Curtis Blades Black Beast fight the other week, where it's one-sided and then one punch ends it. But that's what you get with these heavyweight guys. Ngannou gets all the credit for his power because, well, it's otherworldly. But Miocic can knock undoubtedly all 3 of us out with the same punch,
With a flick of with a flick of his finger.
He could probably
we
backhand
just
me
stand
and knock
front
me
to
off my
back.
feet.
If we all stand front to back and he just punches whoever's in front, we all just get knocked out.
Do you think it could be like Mortal Kombat and he could punch through us?
Oh,
I think so.
absolutely.
I think he could punch through my body like Chris Cooley through the wall and catch a football through me. Honestly.
Yeah. I was actually watching that today, the Chris Cooley thing.
That's awesome. That's what Miocic could do to us. But he definitely doesn't get enough credit. He's obviously the champion. He's defended the heavyweight title double the amount of times that anyone else ever has. But Ngannou deserves every bit of credit. Since that last fight in 2018, he's won 4 fights, all in the first round. So that does draw a little bit of yellow flags with whether or not he will be fully conditioned, which I believe that he will. Like, I trust that, but you don't know until you're in the ring with the best in the world, or in the octagon with the best in the world.
I think his combined ring time in those 4 fights is like 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, in over 2 years. But that's definitely advantage Miocic. But of course, Ngannou's the favorite, and I think he's the better fighter. I mean, he's 34, Miocic is 38. Obviously, he's out the door.
I mean, Carson, we can save your pick for who's going to win for a little bit later.
Yeah, we can. We're definitely saving the pick.
Yeah, hold that opinion. Opinion.
Whoa! I was gonna say, but it's a smaller octagon than usual, and that obviously will always favor the wrestler. And he's literally won their last meeting, so it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna bring a lot of attention to the heavyweight division, which is great. And I love both of these fighters. I will be fine seeing either of them win.
Mm-hmm. And one kind of sad thing about this card, though, is we had another championship fight on the card between Alexander Volkanovski and Brian Ortega. This was going to be for the flyweight championship. I don't like Volkanovski because he beat, in quotation marks, Max Holloway twice, which I do not think was deserved. And Max Holloway is one of my favorite fighters ever, so I was really pulling for Brian Ortega to absolutely take off Volkanovski's head. But hey, we get to see it at a later date. I think Volkanovski got COVID on purpose, conspiracy theory, and I'm unqualified, so I can say what I want. But yeah, that sucks. I was looking forward to it. I think a lot of other people were too.
But it's still an exciting card.
Yeah,
it still is, between Sugar, Sean O'Malley, and the championship fight.
Well then,
which leads us into the segment part of the podcast.
Everyone's favorite part of the podcast, the
Segment.
segments.
We're gonna start off like we always do. Austin, you got some trivia for us, baby.
I do. I debated all day, and by all day, I mean all
Debated.
day.
You debated. Oh, no
I
way.
debated with myself all day
Let's
on
go.
2 questions.
Yeah,
And I've decided now, in
You can give both.
2014, strike that, in 2018, because I couldn't even read my own handwriting. In 2018,
That's tough.
there were 444 individual players in the NBA that got minutes. That could be 1 minute, or that could be 20 million minutes in one season, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those players were from D2 or lower out of 444? And I'll give you an extra point if you can tell me at least one.
D2 or lower? That's a good question.
And I will say D1 also is considered straight out of high school or from overseas. So D1,
Okay,
straight
are
out of
we-
high school and overseas, those are all the same.
That there are the stipulations are they're coming from D2 or they played
Yes,
D2 at some point in
They
time?
played D2 for their college ball.
Jake Kelsey. That was a lie. Just one of our buddies that played community college basketball.
Yeah, which I think is NAIA, right?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure. We'll have to get our fact checker to check that.
Stats guy.
Yeah, stats guy, sorry.
I don't think he's returned. He's still chasing down Clifford, but it's a
Okay.
long way to Florida.
Cliff.
So
Yeah. Wow. What a question. I'm ready for the other question because this one I
Yeah, can we simmer on this one for a second?
No,
Yeah,
Austin?
yeah, you
let's
can simmer on
guess
this
it
one.
and then
No,
move on.
I wanna simmer.
I can throw the we can double question week.
No.
A
Everyone's
Yankee
so excited.
is a baseball team, but a Yankee is also a term used in horse racing.
What?
What is a Yankee in horse racing?
Wow.
That is when your horse stumbles at the beginning and gets up and finishes the race.
Is that right?
That is incorrect.
All right.
Gosh.
So right now I'm sitting here thinking, Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Something macaroni. So I think a Yankee is when a horse gets like dust in his eyes and confused during the race, turns around, runs the opposite way, runs headfirst into another horse, and they both have to be euthanized on the spot.
Wow. Guys, I'm pretty sure Carson's cheating. No, he's not. A Yankee is actually sports betting, but in horse racing, and it's a specific kind of bet. It's 11 bets, actually, that are equal in value, but they're from the 4 separate events. So there's 6 in the doubles event. Yeah, the backstroke, the butterfly, and the 400-meter
Freestyle.
hurdles.
Freestyle relay.
Yeah.
So it's like a horse racing parlay?
Yeah, basically. I was.
Wow.
I wanted you to know, I was scrolling through on this new website that they're using for one of the esports fantasy leagues that I got invited to, and there was a thing that said make a Yankee bet today. It was an ad, and I clicked on it, and then it took me to like horse racing betting, and I was like, So
Wow. I would have never guessed. That's a trivia question for you. Wait, so is that what the New York Yankees are named after?
I don't know. Maybe.
That's a trivia question for next week. My turn next week. That's what I'm going to ask.
But
Dang
All
it,
right, but back to our first question.
444 players that played minutes in 2018 in the NBA. How many of them were from D2 or lower?
I'm going to say 1.
Carson?
And the name.
Oh, yes, and the
I'm
name.
going to guess it's a
Frank
trick question. And it's
Kaminsky.
zero.
Didn't
I think
Frank
it's a trick
Kaminsky
question
go to
and it's 0.
Wisconsin or one of the
Yeah, but I literally can't give you anybody. So
That's
statistically,
okay.
the most average player in the NBA as of
Fair.
2018 was Frank Kaminsky.
Frank the Tank.
So Frank.
All right, Carson.
I
He
said
said
it was a
0.
trick question at 0.
Wow. Well, Carson is 0 for 2. Bryce.
Yeah.
Bryce is 1 for 1. Well, 1 for 2, if you consider the other question.
Well, 1
That's
for
right.
3 because he guessed Frank Kaminsky.
That's true. Yes.
Guys, okay, I
It
can't
is
tell you who this.
443 players.
Wait,
that
it was actually
played.
one?
Yes, it was actually one.
Suck it, Carson.
443 of the 444 players that played in 2018 were from D1 schools. They came straight out of high school, so that would be like, your LeBrons and such.
LeBron.
And then
Anthony Simons.
and then your players that came from overseas, right? The
Who's
one
what's his
player
name?
is
I knew it
Jalen
was gonna be one.
Morris.
I don't know who that is.
What?
I didn't either. But he played like 6 minutes and scored 7 points and was 3 of 3 from the field. So he played
Wow.
he played for the Hawks.
Is he the most efficient player in history?
Maybe.
Has to be.
Are those the only 6 minutes he ever played?
At least from what I've seen, yes. So
Wow.
ESPN had like little to nothing on him. So
Get this guy
so,
a contract.
He
Get him
went
on the
to
pod.
Molloy College, which is a private Catholic school in Long Island that has 5,000 students. He played 5 years
Congratulations.
there. So
And didn't Dennis Rodman and Ben Wallace also come from D2/D3?
I don't know.
I know Ben Wallace did. But then I think the other names that are typically there are Scottie Pippen. He played D2. And Manute Bol played D2. I know those two and Ben Wallace. But I don't know about Dennis Rodman.
I'm going to have our stats guy check on it real quick. I'm going to give him a call. I'm going to step away.
Stats guy. Can't wait to hear him. But wow, Austin, a double trivia week. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
stats guy just got back
unprecedented.
back with me. Southeastern Oklahoma State.
Wow. That
Wow.
sounds like a
Technical
restaurant.
Community College.
And it is... I'm going to go back to the stats guy real quick.
Oh,
This
press
guy
back
has
to the
really
stats
good
guy.
fiber internet, so he can
He really does.
figure these things out very quickly.
No, of course.
All right, stats guy got back to me. They're D2.
Wow. Well, congratulations, Oklahoma State Technical Community College and Agriculture, for having whoever it was we were talking about. I forgot.
Dennis
So,
Rodman.
Congratulations, Dennis Rodman.
Not good.
Wow.
Dennis Rodman.
Absolutely.
Like him, Dennis Rodman.
Carson? It's
Hook 'em.
time.
I think we're hooking him this week, boys.
If we had Bruce Buffer,
All right.
he would say, it's time.
All right. Last week, we got into some tournament games. This week, I'm getting into some tournament games because, well, it's part of March Madness. We got to pick them. So, the first game I'm picking, Saturday night, the nightcap. We've got 11 seed Syracuse and 2 seed Houston. Houston's got a top 15 defense in the country. Syracuse has probably the hottest shooter in all of the world right now, Buddy Boeheim. He's probably going to hit 10 threes. And I don't think Houston is going to be able to come out and just solve the zone. They're definitely going to have to make a run in the second half. I think Syracuse is going to get a lead early. Joe Girard III, the most prolific scorer in the history of the state of New York, is going to hit some logo shots like he did in their last game against West Virginia. And I think Syracuse is gonna play really well and come home with the win. But I'm gonna be watching because it's gonna be a good game, and you should be too. So hook 'em orange.
Hey, hook 'em orange.
Can I get a hook 'em? Hey, hook 'em, baby. And you might say, hey, that's a little aggressive picking an 11 versus a 2 seed. But that's what I do. I pick
1 plus 1
aggressively
equals
and
2,
lose.
So
1 plus 1 equals 2. Congratulations, Syracuse, on their win. And hook 'em. Next game,
Hook 'em.
Sunday, 5 o'clock. 4 seed Florida State 1 seed Michigan without Isaiah Livers. Florida State's going to take it home. They're going to shoot 75% from 3 and hook 'em Knowles.
2 bold picks. Hook 'em.
Hey, hook 'em Florida
Hook 'em.
State, but not in football or against Clifford Taylor.
We
Two
hate them against Clifford Taylor.
Two technically upsets, and I kind of feel bad picking Florida State after having Clifford on. But, they're going to beat Michigan, and that's going to make me look good. And then for the last pick, I'm not picking a tournament game because we have the biggest heavyweight fight in a very long time with John Jones watching and waiting, and Ngannou and Miocic. And honestly, I think that Miocic is gonna dominate for probably 7 minutes, and then it's gonna be 1 punch. That's my brave prediction. Ngannou knockout, 2nd round, punch right to the chin, and lights out. Honestly,
Oh.
which is kind of wild that a man that large can be knocked out in 1 punch, because that's a punch that would actually kill any of us. But we're talking about real men fighting. But yeah, hook 'em Ngannou.
Yeah.
He's a beast. And his name is Francis, which is actually kind of sweet.
It is pretty awesome. But speaking of things that are, for lack of a better word, awesome, we have top 3.
Oh, top 3.
A personal favorite, and I think a favorite of my fellow podcasters.
I don't know what that means.
Colleagues.
Acquaintances, mates.
Colleagues.
I want to be called a colleague.
Okay.
I want to too.
Well, this word also has several of the same letters as colleague, college, and mascots. Top 3 college mascots. Bryce, who you got?
Number 1, we're gonna go with Dartmouth's mascot, Keggy the Keg. He is legit a stuffed keg that just walks around. So I think that's super respectable and something super out of the ordinary for an Ivy League school. So
Stuffed
going with
as
Keggy,
in filled with alcohol, or stuffed as in just like,
now I think that's up for interpretation. I don't know what that means.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Number 2, we're gonna go with Western Kentucky's mascot, Big Red. I'm not exactly sure what he is. I think he's legit just dressed as the color red with eyes, but I can't confirm or deny that. So Big Red. Yeah. And then number 1, I feel so cliche doing this, but I love him with all my heart and soul. And that's Tuffy from North Carolina State University. I know that's bad for me to pick them, but they're truly my favorite mascot of all time just because I've grown up with it my entire life. So Tuffy's my favorite mascot ever, and I have to pick them or else I feel like I'm a traitor.
I think that's fair.
Because Tuffy is better than Keggy the Keg.
Wow.
Popcorn Austin.
Please.
All right, well, I will start off my list at number 3 then, and I went the same direction as Bryce. I had to choose my alma mater and current mater, the Gardner-Webb Runnin', no G, Runnin' Bulldogs.
Runnin'.
Hashtag almost beat Virginia up at halftime, but their Bulldog mascot, his name is Mac. The guy that wore the Mac uniform, the costume, whatever you want to call it, he lived next door to me, so that was pretty cool. I got to
see you and Mac were pretty tight.
Yeah, I got to see and smell the inside of the mascot uniform, and I'll just tell you, it was horrible. It was like the locker room met the landfill. So, but my second one is from TCU, Texas Christian University, number 2 on the list, the Super Frog. Not because of anything real about the mascot itself, but just that it looks like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon.
From Stranger Things.
Because that's a great movie. And I just think it looks adorable. And it also kind of looks like a baby Triceratops. So I don't really know why it looks like a frog. It doesn't, but I love it. And then my number 1, the Fighting Okra from Delta State University.
Yes, sir.
Lying.
Fighting Okra.
The Fighting Okra And whenever I say this is the most disgusting looking piece of okra with boxing gloves on, I mean it. That is literally their mascot, is a piece of okra with boxing gloves on and like shoes that like a cowboy would wear without the spurs. So not really boots, but kind of like burlappy. So
Wow. What a top three. All right, my turn. And my number three, I don't really know why it's my number three. And for the life of me, I could not find the actual name of the mascot. But my pick for number three is the St. Louis Billiken because I don't have a clue what a Billiken is, and it looks really cursed. It's kind of weird. Anyone know what it is?
a Billiken.
No idea.
Not a clue.
We might have to
Not
hire
a clue.
someone because Stats guy says he's not sure. He doesn't know about that one.
Stats guy, I don't think he could find it because it's just one of the most obscure names ever. But hey, congratulations to them. Number two, I'm not biased at all. I don't know why I'm talking up so much, but I've got Otto the Syracuse Orange because, well, it's an orange. Name another school that has a fruit as their mascot. And honestly, it's
Okra.
I'm really curious if he could lay down and roll. But that's why he's my number two because I want to know if he can lay down and roll. And then number one, probably my least favorite mascot, but also my favorite mascot. The number one mascot in all of college sports or not sports is the Stanford Tree.
It is beautiful.
Why? Why is it a tree? Anyone? Stats guy, fans, not fans, any listeners. Why in the world is it a tree? And why do I love it? They're the
I'm here for
cardinal.
it too.
Like
Cardinal
what?
tree.
That's definitely. It's not related to their name. It's just a tree. So
I thought it was a cardinal tree.
I don't think that's the name of a tree.
Well, what's the cardinal then?
Good question. It doesn't make any sense, but it's a tree, and I love it, and that's my number one spot. So hey, hook 'em Cardinal, hook 'em Tree, and those are our top three college mascots.
It's a pretty awesome list. Not gonna lie.
What can we say?
What we should do is
We
add a
are
10th
awesome.
because we all had 9, or we had 9 altogether. We should add a 10, maybe a fan vote, and then simulate a 5-on-5 basketball game
Oh,
Wow.
that would be interesting.
between the mascots.
That would be interesting. Has our stats guy gotten back to us about either the Billiken or the Cardinal Tree?
He is not
Yeah.
still. Or should we give number 10 to the Rhode Island School of Design to Scrody?
Scrody, the ball
The
sack?
Nads.
Yeah,
Yep.
we definitely give it to Scrody.
Honorary 10th spot. We didn't want to actually add him on, but
whatever team he
yeah, me too, because he's legit. Just
who's
male
gonna guard
genitals.
A wiener? Who's gonna guard a wiener?
No one's gonna guard a
He's
wiener.
probably the
No
biggest
one's gonna
baller on
guard
the
a wiener.
court.
Boom.
That's funny. That's funny. But yeah, we know we love top three. We hope everyone else does. We know it's a fan favorite. We literally just make that up. We're unqualified. We love top three, and that's your top three college mascots.
Mm-hmm.
So
Bryce.
how awesome!
So Bryce,
So Austin.
we have this or that. That was a lot of thising and
Ooh.
thatting.
Returning segment.
Returning segment. This is how we're going to close the episode this week.
Or that week.
Bryce, what we got for our this or that this week?
Yeah, so we have a couple iconic, absolute baptisms in sports is the way I'm going to describe it.
There's no better way.
Number one, South Carolina versus Michigan, and the year I forget. The situation is Michigan didn't get a first down at all, but they ruled it a first down. Okay, everybody's pissed off. Next play, Hutt, handoff to, what was his name, Lattimore or something? Maybe that was after Lattimore. Handoff
Doesn't
to
matter.
running back
He's dead
one
now.
for the 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 Wolverines. Oh wait, no, I was thinking of South Carolina's running back. Boom, Clowney hits the gap, absolutely just destroys the running back. Hardest hit in football history in college level,
Knocks his
arguably. Helmet off, ball comes out, Clowney reaches out with one arm, recovers the fumble. South Carolina wins the game. Number 2, I don't even know what the situation was. Alley-oop to DeAndre Jordan. Brandon Knight's on the other end of it and actually dies on the court. By far the greatest alley-oop of all time, the hardest hitting dunk of all time. In today's episode of This or That, do we have Clowney hit or DeAndre Jordan dunk?
Wow. Austin, enlighten us with your pick.
Yeah, I got to go with Jadeveon Clowney because I didn't see the DeAndre Jordan dunk, but I saw the Jadeveon Clowney hit. I was watching it on TV. It was the 2013 Outback Bowl. What a throwback. But
Wow.
I remember watching it and physically feeling pain because you want to be excited because it's a super cool thing to see, but at the same time you're like, I'm pretty sure that man has no ribs at all anymore. They're all gone. Like, they didn't break. They didn't, they didn't just get chipped.
They
just
disintegrated.
Disintegrated. They literally cease to exist. And he's just going to have to walk around with his head at his toes for the rest of his life because he got bent in half by Jadeveon Clowney.
Hit.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. And honestly, I don't really know if I can make a pick, but if I had to, it's probably the Clowney hit because I think it would damage me the most. But if we're talking emotionally, there's nothing more damaging than what DeAndre Jordan did to Brandon Knight. But Bryce, please enlighten us.
Yeah, I would probably go with DeAndre Jordan dunk because I'm pretty sure I saw Brandon Knight's soul exit his body when that happened. It's probably my favorite sports highlight of all time just because of the disrespect, the bench reaction, DeAndre Jordan legit just shrugging after. Everything about it is so disrespectful. And I mean, you can legit see Brandon Knight's reaction. He actually died on the court that day. And Brandon Knight's been on the wrong side of a lot of things throughout his career in terms of getting exposed. And that just adds to the legacy of what's a pretty laughable Brandon Knight career that should have been way better than it was. But obviously it doesn't matter. Well, we think we're unqualified, but it's very heavily subjective. But I love it.
Maybe you called it a baptism, but maybe it was an exorcism whenever it comes to the DeAndre Jordan dunk.
Might as well be.
Yeah, it was just that brutal.
I would never want to be
that brutal.
there.
Definitely two of the most just outrageously awesome plays in the history of sports. Definitely shows off just physically as are/were in their primes, and this or that. This time, I think we're leaning towards this rather than that. We know that's a crowd favorite. We say that for every segment, but that's one of our favorite segments to do, and we really liked it this week. But hey, we're gonna clip those on Twitter. Please let us know which one of those is your favorite. I'm definitely gonna go watch them probably 10 times each tonight because I love those plays.
True.
But big week in all the sports. We had a lot to talk about, a lot to go over, and we enjoyed you listening to us talking. We enjoyed talking about it, and we'll see you next week. And congratulations to Jadeveon Clowney.
And
for the biggest baptism in sports history.
Yep.
Congratulations, Clifford Taylor.
Hey,
on
congratulations.
being in the NBA.
In the NBA.
Literally in the NBA.
Yeah, kind of. But loved having him on. Can't wait to have him on again. And we'll see you guys next week.